Woman.
In tonight's programme, Bruce Willis travels through time in 12 Monkeys.
Tiny invisible bad things called germs. They get into your body and make you sick, huh? He's trying to get doctors to wash their hands. What is this guy, crazy?
Meryl Streep and Liam Neeson's son is accused of murder in Before and After.
You can't do this. You can't go snooping around in somebody else's car. Legally, that's my car. You do not have a search warrant.
Wait. I'm sure there's some very simple explanation for all of this.
And Kirsty Young looks at the way pop stars are attracted to the big screen.
Being able to go out in front of, 20,000, 30,000 people and perform obviously helps your confidence about performing in any field, whatever.
Good evening. The true star of Terry Gilliam's 12 Monkeys, and never mind Bruce Willis or Brad Pitt, is Terry Gilliam's startling imagery. The film, which blends the hunt for a killer virus in 1996 with a post-apocalyptic vision of the few survivors of a deadly plague living underground in 2035, is memorable far more for its style than its content, for the content is messy and by no means clearly thought out. What it predicates is that at the end of this year, most of the world's population will be wiped out by a mysterious illness, some offshoot of BSE, if you want my opinion, and some 40 years later, the underground survivors, now reasonably adept at time travel, send a convict, Bruce Willis, back in time to identify the virus at source.
You aren't going to hurt us, are you, Mr. Cole?
No, sir.
Definitely a mistake.
Actually, they're not all that adept, because Willis first returns to 1990 and even lands up in the First World War before successfully coming to rest in a mental hospital in 1996. Well, everyone thinks he's nuts, and they would, wouldn't they, with all his talk of plagues and time travel? In the hospital, he's treated by Dr. Madeleine Stowe and meets the demented Brad Pitt, son of a distinguished scientist, Christopher Plummer. And Pitt keeps burbling on about the 12 Monkeys. But which 12 monkeys are these? And were they responsible for the plague, spreading mad ape disease, perhaps? Before Willis can solve the puzzle, he has a very hard time. There are escapes and chases, and people beat him up and try to kill him. So thank goodness for the tender ministrations of Dr. Stowe.
You can get better. You can stay here.
What does this mean to you?
As the plot becomes increasingly confused and opaque, thank goodness too for the imagery, notably a recurring scene at an airport where a horrified small boy watches a man being shot down. What has this to do with Bruce Willis? Well, it's his memory, so was he the little boy? Gilliam took his idea from Chris Marker's 1962 film noir La Jetée, which was also about a recurring image from the past. But Marker's movie lasted only 29 minutes, and perhaps that was the right length for it. 12 Monkeys runs for well over 2 hours, and though it begins most promisingly, it soon begins to show signs of padding. The script, by David Peoples, whose credits include Blade Runner and Unforgiven, and his wife Janet, touches on many of the themes common to Gilliam's films: time and time travel, madness and sanity, the untrustworthiness of modern science. But despite the director's visual flair and solid enough performances, it tries to say too much and ends up by saying too little. Still, if you need further enlightenment about the plot, here's what the director and the stars had to say.
What year is this?
It's really a love story is what it is, about a madman, maybe, and a psychiatrist on the run.
You can't travel back in time. Whoop, whoop. You people don't exist. You're not here. You can't trick me.
I really was intrigued by the notion of exploring what psychosis is. For some of this film, other people think I'm crazy. For some of the film, I think I am crazy myself. And the audience never really knows until, the very end.
I'm not crazy.
Of course not. Of course not. You want to escape, right? That's very sane. That's very sane.
Brad plays a totally crazy, manic, fast-talking character. All the things you don't really think of Brad as. I mean, he is no longer the sexiest man in America with this film.
I'm not saying you're not mentally ill. For all I know, you're crazy as a loon.
I went to him to get the role. He took a big chance with me because this is
You know, this is not what you would see me being able to pull off. He really took a chance. Some Weiss comes along. He's trying to convince people, well, other doctors mainly, that there are these teeny tiny invisible bad things called germs that get into your body and make you sick. Huh? He's trying to get doctors to wash their hands. What is this guy? Crazy?
We're standing there looking at the moon. You were splashing through the water, and then what?
It's a biggish film with some big stars in it, so it should have a bigness to it, but it doesn't. It's all in little pieces. It's a film about pieces.
So there you go, all clear now? Right, let's get on to the top 10 films in Britain. At 10, Braveheart, Mel Gibson's Oscar-winning epic about the Scottish hero William Wallace. 9, Dunstan checks in. Monkey business leads to mayhem in a swanky hotel with Rupert Everett and Faye Dunaway. 8, Jumanji, dazzling special effects and a few thrills when Robin Williams plays the board game from hell. 7 is Stolen Heart, Sandra Bullock and comedian Dennis Leary as thieves on the run in a romantic comedy. 6, Sergeant Bilko, wherein Steve Martin proves there was only one Sergeant Bilko, and that was Phil Silvers. At 5, Get Shorty, a smashing comedy thriller set in Hollywood with John Travolta and Gene Hackman. And 4, Dead Man Walking, Oscar winner Susan Sarandon co-stars with Sean Penn in an excellent death row drama. 3, Sense and Sensibility, another Oscar winner, Emma Thompson's first-rate adaptation of the Jane Austen classic. At 2, Trainspotting, Danny Boyle's powerful, often disturbing story of a group of Scottish heroin addicts. And at number 1, Toy Story, family entertainment as Tom Hanks lends his vocal talents to state-of-the-art computer animation. On the face of it, Barbette Schroeder's Before and After is about how a crisis can make or break a family and how crucial events can so divide our lives as to split them up into before and after. We know all this straight off because a redundant voiceover tells us so, just in case we miss the point. The story, based on a novel by Rose Ellen Brown and set in an awfully cute part of Massachusetts, tells how Edward Furlong, teenage son of Dr. Meryl Streep, a paediatrician, and sculptor Liam Neeson, is accused in absentia of the murder of his working-class girlfriend. Neeson, though naturally believing his boy to be innocent, immediately reacts with priceless stupidity, busily destroying evidence and the like. Meanwhile, the local townsfolk, firmly convinced of the kid's guilt, turn against the family. And when Furlong finally comes back in a state bordering on the catatonic, Dad instructs him to lie to his defence lawyer, Alfred Molina, and the court. Meryl Streep takes a more sensible view and tells the truth, whatever that might be, to the grand jury, thus annoying her husband and dividing the family even more.
Now, you have to understand, juries in cases of this nature, they tend to be very emotional. They tend to feel that where there's smoke, there's fire.
Well, matters aren't helped by the fact, wouldn't you know it, that Neeson and Furlong hadn't been getting on too well anyway. This, however, didn't surprise me, because if I were Liam Neeson, I'd be wondering darkly how a boy that short could possibly be a son of mine. Before and After is a film that cops out from the word go, presenting what appears to be the tough problem of educated, intelligent parents faced with a horrifying dilemma, and then treating every development with the utmost sentimentality. Did Furlong really murder the girl? It's hard to care. And will the family be torn apart? It's hard to care about that either. What's more, there's an odd listlessness about the acting, Molina apart, which indicates that the cast and director weren't too bothered themselves. The only merit a film like this can have is if it takes a specific situation and makes it general. This one has specific written all the way through it, like a stick of rock. Now, through the ages, pop stars have rarely been content with the fame and wealth that comes to them through their amazing ability to sing off-key and strum 2 chords on a guitar. They want to be movie stars as well. With varying degrees of success, people from Crosby to Elvis, from the Beatles to Madonna, from Jagger to Bowie, from Sting to Tina Turner have had a go at it. And now they're joined by John Bon Jovi, who's just finished filming in The Leading Man. Our own leading lady, Kirsty Young, went along to probe this fascination rock stars have with the movies.
Strutting their stuff at rock venues around the world just isn't enough for some pop stars. Having reached the pinnacle of musical fame and fortune, many of them then turn their attentions to the arguably more serious business of acting. However, the road from rock legend to movie superstar is a tortuous one, littered with failed films and burnt investors. The fact that a musician is famous and already has a significant following doesn't necessarily guarantee that the movie's going to be a success. Today, we're on the set of Jon Bon Jovi's new movie, The Leading Man. It's his second film. He's already been well received in the States in Whoopi Goldberg's Moonlight and Valentino, due out here later in the year.
Don't say a word. We know you don't speak any English. Your boss explained that it's perfectly okay. Oh, what a great ass.
Alberta!
I really hope that he understood that.
I guess you guys were expecting Umberto.
Oh, no, I was expecting.
I'm flattered that you like my ass.
You've been doing acting classes for about 5 years now, so you're obviously taking the whole thing quite seriously.
Yeah, I'm not here for the sport of it, you know. This is something that I want to do, and you know, film is forever, the way records are, you know. It's something that's gonna either haunt you or or bring you good memories, so you better be prepared and do a good job, yeah.
Given that you've got this incredible musical success, why do you feel the need to do it? Why do you want to do it?
The challenge, the outlet, the opportunity to grow in something different. Gardening doesn't appeal to me, you know. Shipbuilding doesn't appeal to me, so it was something like this.
From the first moment that we...
Sting has had a long and varied career as an actor, starting in 1979 with Quadrophenia, and most recently in his new film co-starring with Alan Bates in The Grotesque.
I will take a glass of sherry, Fledge.
I don't trust him. I think he's cunning, like a fox.
You know, I never had an ambition to be an actor. I was never an actor at school even. I was never in a school play. So I had no impetus whatever. I just happened to be in the right place at the right time with the right haircut. And I met Frank Rodham, who was the director of Quadrophenia, and thought I was perfect for this part of this yobbo called the Ace. Ace Face, I think he was called.
It may perhaps discourage you and others of your kidney who are infected with this vicious virus that you'll be ordered to pay a fine of £75.
I'll pay now if you don't mind. You haven't got a pen, have you, Your Honour?
How important is it to a film's finance and profile to have a pop star involved?
It might help to sort of set the ball rolling. But, you know, a musician as an actor brings a lot of baggage with him. It's not just like having an actor who is just plays a role. I am somebody else, and people associate me with a lot of other things. And therefore, I think I have to work harder as an actor to convince people that I'm the character I'm supposed to portray.
4 and 9, take 4.
Action.
Sometimes you seem so cold, it's like I don't even know you.
Maybe you don't. Maybe there's nothing to know.
Cut.
Do you think there are things that you've brought with you from your musical career into your new career in terms of experience in the way that you might act and react?
With the exception of experience in front of the camera from a television or video point of view, I think that, again, that blind faith, that easy feeling that I'm not worried about
being anyone other than me. I don't have to do this for political reasons. I don't have, I don't have to do it because I have to take a job because I can't pay the rent. There's a freedom that you bring to the situation that if you're being you and you're being in the moment, hopefully that spreads.
Being able to go out in front of 20,000, 30,000 people and perform obviously helps your confidence about performing in any field, whatever. But the cinema is a much more intimate kind of scrutiny. The camera is right here. You can't really lie to the camera, unfortunately. But I think it's good for your confidence. You feel pretty confident about it. There aren't many actors who could do my job. They'd like to, but they can't.
The Leading Man, complete with jovial John Bon, opens later in the year. And of course, Madonna is having yet another crack at making it in the movies with Evita, which is set to arrive around Christmas time. But right now we have Al Pacino as the mayor of New York in the political thriller City Hall. Pacino is a hustling, bustling, can-do man of the people with ambitions to be the next Democratic occupant of the White House. John Cusack is his eager, idealistic young deputy who still believes, presumably because he is very young, that politicians can make a beneficial difference. And when Pacino declares that all good things come from the city, Cusack is the guy nodding sagely in the background. But they're both proved wrong when a shootout leaves a mafia-connected drug dealer, a maverick cop, and a 6-year-old black boy dead in the city streets.
The first and perhaps only great mayor was Greek. He was Pericles of Athens, and he lived some 2,500 years ago, and he said, "All things good of this earth flow into the city."
Good tub-thumping stuff. The subsequent investigation into how the shooting happened and why swiftly develops into a cover-up as it becomes clear that the dead drug dealer wasn't the only one who was mafia-connected. So is City Councilman Danny Aiello. So indirectly is a respected judge, Martin Landau. In an attempt to prevent murky secrets leaking out, the dead cop is set up, largely by Aiello and mafia boss Tony Franciosa, as the scapegoat until a lawyer, Bridget Fonda, intervenes on behalf of his family. What emerges is a picture of politics, corruption and organised crime and how expediency and pragmatism can link them all together. This is a world of deals and payoffs in which hardly anybody is able to keep his hands clean. And what makes it particularly alarming is that it was based on a story by Ken Lipper, who was himself the deputy to former New York Mayor Ed Koch. Is this fiction we're dealing with here, or fact? Whatever. Cusack's straight-arrow idealist holds the tale together very well, but it's the flamboyant Pacino, oozing energy, sincerity and a desire to make the city safe for all its inhabitants, who grabs your attention every time he's on screen. If he were running for office, we'd all vote for him. And when you look at some of the people we elect, maybe that wouldn't be such a bad idea. But now, a quick roundup of the latest movie news. Kenneth Branagh has just finished his screen version of Shakespeare's Hamlet, with a cast that includes Gerard Depardieu, Robin Williams, Julie Christie and Derek Jacobi. Next time up, Branagh will play the lead in John Grisham's The Gingerbread Man. Disney's live-action film of the 101 Dalmatians will soon be finished at Shepperton Studios. The project has taken more than 35 weeks and stars Glenn Close as Cruella de Vil, Jeff Daniels and Jolie Richardson. What Cruella actually looks like will be a closely guarded secret until the film's Christmas release. The life story of David Lloyd George, a silent biopic made in 1918, will receive its world premiere in Cardiff on May the 5th after being presumed lost for nearly 76 years. It's been painstakingly restored and promises to be a milestone in early British cinema. And as part of Cinema 100's celebration of the film centenary, a National Cinema Day has just been announced. On Sunday, the 2nd of June, all cinema tickets will be just £1. Well, that's a welcome bit of news. Finally tonight we have Smoke, written by the novelist Paul Auster and directed by Wayne Wang, who made The Joy Luck Club. There is a connection between that film and Smoke in that both are episodic and anecdotal. The setting here is Brooklyn, and more specifically the corner cigar store run by Harvey Keitel in 1990. In and around this place roams an assortment of people whose lives touch and connect in various ways. Chief among them is William Hurt, a novelist still grieving for his wife, who was accidentally shot during a bank hold-up. No, she didn't do the hold-up, she was just just an innocent bystander. One day, a homeless black teenager, Harold Perrineau Jr., saves Hurt from being knocked down by a truck and is rewarded by an offer to crash out in Hurt's flat for a night or two. Thus, we move from one chapter to another. Chapter 1 introduces Hurt. Chapter 2 follows Perrineau in his search for his father, Forrest Whitaker, who'd been presumed dead, but in fact runs a garage a few miles away. Then Stockard Channing, Keitel's former wife, or maybe just lover, turns up to tell him their young daughter is now a pregnant crackhead. And so it goes on, with all the characters linked together by Keitel's smoke shop.
Come on, you yellow belly. The whole thing. The whole name. First name and
What difference does it make?
Doesn't make...
Well, Whitaker has lost an arm in a car accident, and rather more mysteriously, Channing seems to have lost an eye. But nobody inquires about these things, for this is slice-of-life stuff. People are what they are, for better or worse. Smoke is a gentle, pleasing little movie which comes to no great climax and appears to have nothing significant to say. It's simply a study of a group of disparate people in a certain place at a certain time. Hurt is good in his customary introverted and somehow tortured fashion, but it's Keitel, more restrained and sympathetic than usual, who tends to steal the show. And that wraps things up for now. 12 Monkeys, Before and After, and Smoke all open on Friday. City Hall is already on release. Next week, we have Robin Williams and Nathan Lane in The Birdcage, the remake that saved MGM and a French bank. Ian McKellen stars as Richard III, and Julia Roberts is Mary Riley. Some good stuff there. But for the moment, here's a scene from Hackers, in which a bunch of teenage computer nerds team up to foil a dastardly criminal. Goodbye.
Look, that's ill, man. It's incomplete. It's taking forever and a day to figure out. Make some coffee.
Tag, you're in.